Welcome to the Business Transformation Pitch. I am Greg, the CX goalkeeper, bringing you conversations where transformation, leadership, and customer experience meet to create real impact. Did you know 80% of regular listeners haven't subscribed yet? If you enjoy the show, support us by hitting the subscribe button. I promise we will keep raising the bar with the guests, ideas, and strategies that really matter to you. Because in business, just like in football, this conversation could be the game changer. I am Greg's AI-based assistant. In this episode, Greg had the pleasure of chatting with Nelles about the critical role of AI and the importance of focusing on people first in digital transformation. They explored how AI can be effectively integrated into organizations by understanding its capabilities and limitations, and discussed the significance of a human-centric approach to technology implementation. Alex shared insightful stories from his career, highlighting both challenges and successes in digital transformation projects. Enjoy the episode. The Swiss Future Institute and the AI Future Council connect you with Switzerland's leading experts in AI, digital transformation, and leadership for perspectives that drive real impact. Explore the network at the Swiss Future Institute. Opportunities don't happen, we create them. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Business Transformation Pitch with the CX Goalkeeper. Today I'm super thrilled and I'm really fascinated about the discussion we are going to have. It's about AI, it's about people first, because we speak a lot about AI, but I think we need to focus on people. And I think I have the best person, the best human being to discuss about that. He was my former boss. He's still a great friend. I learned a lot from him, Alex Nelles. Hi Alex, how are you?
Very good, thank you. Thank you very much for the invitation. It's really cool that I can be part of the CX podcast after so many times that I have heard about it.
Thank you very much. Yes, we work together, and as usual, I always speak about my podcast, but finally we are here together. I'm looking forward to discuss with you. As usual, I start with the first question. We want to learn something about you. And if you think about your career like a soccer match, what was the highlight, the best goal that you scored?
Well, that's tough. I'm not a football person, not a soccer person at all. So, but I assume it's maybe also something that got lots of publicity then. I mean, how to evaluate what is the biggest moment and what not. So when it comes to this point, I think many years ago, I got the Global Telecom Business Innovation Award. And this was a moment in my younger career where we had this large event in London, and which was like globally recognized. And I think that was a real great moment. It was about how can we manage partners in a retail environment better and more efficient and more effective. And the recognition and the feedback overall was really great.
It's this James Bond moment. Perhaps it's better.
Well, yeah. Some people saw me in a black suit on this picture and said that's somehow a James Bond moment. But I can assure you, I didn't have any weapons or any gadgets that James Bond used to have with me at this time.
But thinking about smartwatches, mobile phones now, and sometimes it can go in the right direction.
Well, yes. Meanwhile, things have changed. That's true.
And that's the topic, AI. And we know that you are top-notch there. You are very well informed, but it's not only about speaking about AI, but you're also really doing AI, and you are explaining how to implement AI as a speaker, but also as a CIO of an hospital, you are implementing that. When companies talk about transformation, they often focus on technology first, but you focus on people first. Why is the human side so important when organizations bring AI and new technologies?
Well, in I would say 99% of the companies, people working there create the value, right? In what way they create the value? I mean, it's different in every industry, but at the end, it's the people that make the difference. And when you want to improve, then you need to see what makes it easier for them. How can they be more efficient, more effective? What can make their life easier? And therefore, it's so important to understand what's in for them. And this is why first you need to think about them and put them in the center, because at the end, you're doing it for them because they are creating the value with the help that you provide.
It sounds so clear, so simple, but basically what you are saying, it's something that I see that you were really doing, and you were really focused on your clients and your employees at the same time. But for a lot of people from the C-suite, it's not so easy to follow. They don't understand that. Where did it, on your side, make this click that you understood, okay, now I need to focus on that? Or you were born with a human-centric focus?
No, I mean, it's the point how you define technology and how you define changes and automation and whatever you create and whatever you do. I was working in a big software environment at a big telco provider, and I started to do some automations for my own to make my life easier. And then I understood, hey, this is so cool what I can do with this tech to make the job for myself and then also for others much easier. And then I understood, but to make it easier, I should really understand what really makes it easy and not assume that people can work faster if I do something. If I don't really understand it, I will never create more value with the solution. And very often it's not the big things. It's very often the very small things that make the big difference for them. And that you need to understand, you need to talk to them. You need to really get into their shoes and feel what they feel if you really want to understand it. And I learned it the hard way. I mean,
as usual, we know how it is in business. And now I spoke about the human side. Now let's go on the AI side. Many leaders, or we as human beings, we are really excited when we are speaking about AI. But then when we go into corporate, it's more worry. It's difficult how to implement that, how to keep up with the speed. In simple terms, what should leader understand about how AI really changed the way organizations works?
So first of all, I believe they should understand what's the difference or what we are exactly talking about. AI is such a big word. And since 10 years, I guess software providers couldn't sell anything if it wasn't labeled with AI. But clearly the AI we are talking about today, the hype is going around is generative AI, which is pretty much a different thing than what was people talking about before. And we need to understand what this new technology can do, and especially understand what it cannot do. And if you aim for a 100% thing, then you will fail. That's for sure. So what is exactly the thing that this AI can do, and what are the simple things that I can already solve instead of having the approach to solve 100%. So if I solve already 30% of the cases, it's already a big gain. And if I get this correct, and if I get this right, imagine your workflow, your staff saves 30% of their time for other things, because this you have automated. And I see many cases where they just try too much at the beginning. So step by step, learn it, understand it, improve it, and keep going. Keep going. That's important.
Now, also over lunch, I had the opportunity to discuss a bit with you about AI, and you used two words that perhaps I would like to double click on that. It's not on the notes, don't worry. You spoke about AI architecture. What should company do? How can they build up? We know now that a lot of companies started trying that, but they have problems with their data. It's not working, it's not connected, and it doesn't work. How can you, or how do you advise also the audience to start thinking about these use cases? Yes, but where they really need to start?
There is an old saying, shit in, shit out. Yeah, you know this. So if you have bad data, you will not create perfect outcomes out of bad data. And so you need to understand how much will this data set that you have impact the solution, impact the results. And that's one part, because it may be that first you need to clean up a little bit before you really start. But at the end, it's pretty much depending on what use cases are there. Are we talking about conversational AI? Is it more automating unstructured data analysis? What it is. Now, what I believe as a basic message for this is you better understand what the solution is doing. So if you take an architecture that is highly integrated but still a black box for you, it may not help you. So better understand what it is, and there are solutions on the market that help you to monitor, to simulate, compare different models, different large language models or small language models, whatever it is, so that you can test and simulate the results that you're expecting. And that's, I guess, it's not easy, but I think that's an important part, that you keep control over it.
Keep control is the key. But we know nowadays all the companies are pushing to bring solution live, and 5 weeks later, 7 weeks later, they are outdated. And that's, I think, a big issue, a big problem that companies are discussing, how to cope with this speed of change. What's your advice on this topic?
Mainly the most advancements are done on the large language models themselves. So they're improving, 4 weeks, 6 weeks, 8 weeks. But that's anyway something like the engine for you, right? Now, then the big providers also develop solutions around them, integrating solutions or stuff like that. But then when it comes to integrate them into your enterprise, into your processes, I don't believe that they will really have something that fits perfectly for you. So the idea is to get independent from the model itself. So imagine you're using, ChatGPT today, and with your integration, you're able to switch to Claude, to Gemini, I need to name all of them, right? I cannot do any of the. So you know what I'm talking about, right? Yes. Try to be independent. And if you're independent, then your every improvement will help you. If you are connected to one, then an improvement on the other side may leave you behind. But as long as you are able to switch the engine, the model, and the things around, I think you're more or less safe.
Now, perhaps let's go back to people, because people need to architecture, design, implement, develop, and keep up with all these changes. And I was part of your team, and I still remember how good it was and how human focused you were, and how long you invested with a lot of calm and so on to get the buy-in from the people, to get the people on the boat, and to make them understand why transformation is important, focusing on the human beings. And for me, it's clear you did it several times, and therefore you have the experience. From your point of view, where should companies start when we are speaking about human-centered transformations? Clear link to all these AI transformation. How to start and how to ensure that people are part of this transformation and are not afraid and say, "Oh, I don't want to be part."
Well, I think most important is to make clear where you want to go. What do you want to achieve? And very often this is, for the people, it's very abstract. So it usually starts with a strategy, then you have the concepts, and then you start to plan implementation. So it is a workflow. And the management teams are thinking about this long before the staff is even aware of something to happen. So this can be several months. And they thought so much about everything and they have maybe a picture about how it should look like in the future. And then the information comes towards the staff, and the staff don't really understand what is the vision exactly. So I believe it's very important to find a way to explain this vision, to explain pretty well, even if you don't know exactly, but explain pretty well in a way that they understand where we are heading to. Because they will ask, the first question they will ask is, what is in for me, right? And then if it's bad for them, or if they have the assumption that it's bad for them, the change reaction will be much harder than if they find a way looking forward to it. So I guess that's communication in change. I think it's number one of the disciplines that you have to manage.
I agree. Communication change is so important. But was for me, I was really positive surprised was how you were able to motivate people, and then people started bringing their own ideas. You accepted them. You didn't change them. You said, no, you should do this and that. But you gave them open space. They tried their stuff. Sometimes went good, sometimes not. And then you help stand up again and restart again. Perhaps also there, can you please share what's the hidden secret or this secret ingredient of such a thought leadership where you were really supporting people? Because that's really, I think, important in a transformation. Everybody needs to buy in, and then you can transform. If not, it will be extremely difficult.
I mean, a transformation sounds very often like you bring in new software, a new system, or a new process, and then you run the project and you're done. But it's really much more complex than this. When we talk about transformation in a company, you also have to have a look at the leadership style, which is there, and this is what you address right now at the moment. There are different leadership styles, and we could talk only about leadership more than an hour. But let's keep it simple. Let's just try two extremes. So the one extreme is, I'm the boss. I know everything better than you, and I will tell you exactly what to do. The result is, for many people, it's very convenient for them because they will just do what you do. They will never make mistakes, because if they make a mistake, you told them to do so. So that's one extreme, right? The other extreme is, do whatever you want. It will be okay. The process is everything, and the way is everything, and we don't care. And I guess you need to find, between these two extremes, you need to find the right position where you, on one hand side, inspire them to go forward, to create solutions. Because come on, I don't know anything of these things that they do to this extent. They do. They know. They know everything much better of their work area than I do. How could I tell them what they have to do, because they know better? So I give them the safety that if they do something wrong, it's okay. Mistakes happen. We will just go and improve. And just to make sure that it will not happen again. So then they will start to take responsibility, and they will start to be creative, and they will start to create solutions. And of course you have to find a way to guide the entire team, right? And this depends pretty much on the culture in the team. But I guess that is very important. And we don't look for the guy who's guilty. That's one of the elements that you then implement.
And I can well remember your sentence that I heard several times: don't ask for permission, ask for forgiveness.
Yes, right. If things go wrong, they go wrong, and then we go ahead. That's the idea behind it.
That's so important. And now you mentioned something. Perhaps let's get to tangible examples. In the second part of this discussion, I'm quite sure that you had also a story, project or transformation where a company tried to transform using technology, using AI, but it didn't went as expected, even if your leadership style was great. Can you share some insights, some learning?
Yeah, I don't have anything on the top of my mind about AI, because AI is so young and we are still learning a lot around it. But one thing I clearly remember is when we I was working for a big telco company, and we wanted to bring in a new ERP system, CRM system for the enterprise sales. And you know how projects run. You do an RFP, and you start with an RFI. You choose systems, you choose solutions. It was a classical project with project management and leadership board taking care about and so on. And the solution came in, and the solution worked. Okay, so from a project perspective, everything went perfectly. It was delivered in time. It was delivered in budget. It was, all boxes were ticked. Everything was perfect, but it didn't work. It was several million that it had cost, and it didn't work. The sales team didn't use it. And in enterprise sales, many of the salespeople they have their addresses and their relation to the customer in their own books, right? It's for them. They don't like so much to share this, and we had to find a way that they use the system, because we had to centralize it. And after a year of trying and improving and discussions, it still didn't work. And do you also want to understand how we switched it around?
Yes, sure.
At the end, it turned out that the people said it's too complicated. They just didn't like it because of its complexity and because of the workflow, that they didn't understand why I have to do it this way. If they understand, then it was much easier. And then we said, but do you have other ideas that you compare with? And at the end, we switched the system to another one, and it started to take up from day one. Exactly the same functionalities, exactly even less functionalities, but the front end was so much better. The UX was the thing that made really the difference. Functionality the same, costs, more or less the same. But this made the difference. And that was a big learning for me, Do it around the users. Don't do it around any other functionalities that you wish. Do it around the users if you want the users to really love it and use it.
You mentioned that walk in your customer shoes. In this case, the customer were the employees, and at the end, that's what they're seeing and working with on a daily basis.
Right.
I am quite sure that you also have an example or an experience that I would love that you share with us, where you started a transformation or a project and it went the first time in the right direction, well, with the focus on the employees, walking in the customer shoes and reaching the expected result.
I guess it's about time to talk about Clara. Clara is our first digital employee that we hired, actually at the time when you were still there. So you started it with us together, so you remember well. Let me tell the story. When generative AI came to the surface, we quickly understood it, or we expected, wow, there is so much power and so much greatness inside. So we were wondering, how can we create the first use case where it will work? And at the same time, many people were also afraid about it, and were seeing risks because of the issues that were there, regarding hallucination, for instance. So the use case that we then started to implement was that, we have so many rules and regulations and policies in our case. Meanwhile, it's more than 2,000, that sometimes it can be hard to find the right answer to your question. And I thought, well, wouldn't it be cool if we have one digital employee who knows all these policies inside out and can answer the questions for me? Not the search engine, but one that gives me the answers. And we said, yeah, so that's probably a case for AI that we can use. So we implemented Clara as a generative AI bot that we gave all the policies, and she answers questions. Now, what became clear very early in the process was we had to make the people use Clara as if they were talking to a person. Why? Because I mean, there are a number of reasons, but one was the large language models are trained on human language. So when you use human language, they understand better and the results are better. But our people, they thought it's a search engine. So they thought it was like Google. And in Google, I look for words. I don't talk to Google, give me the answer to following question, but I look for whatever, for word. And if you give the AI a word, it will hallucinate because it will not understand what you need. So this is one of the reasons why we said, okay, we need to create an interface that is as much human being as possible. And therefore we gave Clara a soul. And therefore she has a name, she has a persona, she is a sympathetic young lady that answers questions, and she makes mistakes, and I forgive her if she makes mistakes because I know that she's still learning, and this was the reason why we created this kind of software in a humanized way, so that it's easier to use for the people and gives better result. And therefore AI was pretty much built around the people and how they react and how they interact with Clara.
And what I really like, leaving the project or the employer, but not my former boss, because we are still here discussing, it's that Clara did an apprenticeship, then she learned something, and now she continuously learn and she's growing, and now she's getting more and more senior to provide the answer. And I think this is also part of the process that makes Clara so successful, because she's continuously learning. Thank you very much for sharing this example. Now we are coming to an end, but as usual, at the end of a soccer game or an interesting one, there are penalties.
All right.
And let's shoot some penalties, quick fire round. Who is your role model in business?
There is no one person. I admire many things and many people, but I thought let's create a mixture of Steve Jobs, Simon Sinek, and Dario Amodei.
That's, I think, the next ChatGPT tool that you're developing, getting the support from them all together. I have an answer, but I cannot answer for you the question. What is your transformation superpower?
I believe visionary thinking and the way of inspiring storytelling. I would say, yeah.
And I would add, really focused on the people. What's your favorite working vibe?
Have fun, enjoy what you do.
What is the toughest challenge you have beaten in your career?
That was in my former job, when I had to understand the Japanese business culture and work with Japanese in their business culture. That's a tough one.
And what is one winning habit that helps you succeed?
I did send my ego on holidays.
Thank you very much for this great answer. Now we are going to Alex Golden Nugget. It's something that we discussed or something new to leave with the audience with.
Well, I think whenever you do transformation, try to feel what makes the difference for the people. Don't analyze. As we said before, put yourself in the shoes of them. Try to feel what is their challenge and find out what makes their life easier. Then the rest will be a positive result of it.
The only thing that I can say is, Alex, thank you very much. Finally, we are together. We are recording the podcast. It's not yet a big studio, but live from Zurich. And I'm really delighted to have the opportunity to discuss with you. Thank you very much for this discussion, but not only for the discussion, what you're doing for your employees, what you did for me, making me stronger, better, thinking in new ways. Thank you very much for that. To the audience, I hope that you enjoyed this discussion as much as I did. If you have any question to me or to Alex, you will find all contact details of Alex in the show notes. You can contact him through LinkedIn and enjoy the discussion, and see you next time. Thank you very much, and bye-bye.
Thank you. Thanks for having me. Bye.
That's all for today. If you enjoyed this episode, please spread the word. It really helps. And remember, 80% of regular listeners haven't subscribed yet. If you enjoyed the show, The easiest way to support us is by hitting that subscribe button. I promise we will keep raising the bar with the guests, ideas, and strategies that matter most to you. Until next time, never forget, we are not in B2B or B2C, we are in H2H, human-to-human environment. Thank you.